Hello again. It's time for another drawing tutorial. Today I'm going to be focused on Paraline drawings. I realized that this morning when I was doing the lecture, it might have been not perfectly clear how to use a plan and a section to sort of generate the Paraline drawing. So I want to walk through those steps pretty quickly, at least to get you started, to show you exactly how to set things up and then how to start using those drawings and your measurements to create a Paraline. So let's get right into it. So what I have here is the plan drawing that I have developed in a couple of earlier videos that I've shown. I've taped this piece to this piece, so I've got a more full kind of and complete representation of this corner of Art and Architecture South where my office is. This was, you can ignore that, that was something I was showing in an earlier video. But this kind of stair corner over here, my office, the window here, I don't know if I'll get to showing where there's a window on this side, but I am going to generate the drawing from this plan. I'm also going to be using, for vertical measurements, this section drawing that I created in another video. So I already have the information that shows me the heights of things like the windows on the exterior, as well as the projection of the roof up above. And those are important things to have while I'm working on this. Probably what I'll do is I'll tape down the plan here, and then tape down the section adjacent to the plan so that I can just kind of bring some of these measurements that I was just talking about over into the Paraline drawing as I'm generating it. So I'll wait on that for just a second, but the first thing I want to do is make a decision about how I want to arrange this plan and what the Paraline drawing is really going to be. I think what I'd like to do is focus more on this side, the side that my office is on with that window and the window above and the window below. And so I'll just use my 30-60 triangle here and pull up my parallel bar, hold that in place, and then align this plan, with that triangle. It's a little tricky to do when I'm trying to reach around the camera to make this happen. But there you can see I've now aligned that plan. I guess I'm getting a little bit of reflection there from that light. Move that out of the way. I've aligned this plan here with my triangle, which I'm holding against my parallel rule, so that I'm getting a nice consistent 30-degree line right there. Now that that's in place, I'll grab tape and tape this drawing down. Okay, now that's taped down, and so I've got a 60-degree angle there and a 30-degree angle there. As I talked about in the lecture and showed in a couple of the examples, this will show this face a little bit more clearly than it shows this face of the building over here. So that's kind of step one. You have to make that decision how you're going to arrange the plan and then build the drawing. Next thing I need to do is put a fresh piece of trace paper down over the top of this so that I can start that next drawing. In doing that, I need to make sure that I've got enough trace, so I'm going to come back here to this section drawing, and it's got a certain height, and since I'm going to do the Paraline drawing at the same scale, I need, it's a little bit difficult to see in this camera angle, but from the bottom, where the building meets the ground, all the way up to the top, and a little bit more room above that for the roof to extend. Okay, so basically I'm just gonna give myself a piece of trace that's about the same size as this section drawing. And then of course I flip it over so it lies flat. And as I said before, what I'd like to do is use the section as a way of just carrying across dimensions, the heights of things like the windows and the roof. So I think I'm actually going to tape that down also. And what I want to do is align that with the corner of the building in this case. So I want to get kind of the ground floor here aligned with this corner so that I can use these and just bring them over to a line that I'm going to draw at the corner as sort of a measuring line, and then I'll be able to carry those dimensions back into the drawing. You'll see as I start to develop that what I mean specifically. So I'm going to tape this down. What I might actually try and do though is tape it down underneath the plan, because all I really need from this section is this information along this edge. I don't need the stuff inside the building because we're really only focused on the exterior. And I'd like the plan to show up a little bit more clearly, at least on this exterior part here, so that I'm not getting confused. So I'll do that right now. Okay, might be a little bit confusing to see here, but what I have now is the plan taped down. Underneath that, I've got the section taped down so that I've got these reference dimensions here that I can bring into my drawing. Now I need the fresh piece of trace that goes over the top of this, and I'll need to tape that into place as well. Okay, I think I'm just about there. I want to kind of tape down the extra stuff around the perimeter here so that the trace paper doesn't start getting all gunked up underneath my parallel rule when I'm sliding it up and down. And I can put my trace away. I don't really need my scale necessarily right now because I have the reference material here. I've got the plan that shows me where things are at horizontally, and I've got the section that shows me where things are at vertically. Need to get a pencil here. Okay, and we can get started. I'm just going to assume for the time being that where the building meets the ground is a flat line. And so I'm going to start just by drawing those lines here directly over the plan. So there's that line. And there is this line. It looks like I got things a little bit cockeyed here. Hopefully that doesn't show up too clearly in the video, but don't worry about that. The other thing I want to do here is just draw this corner. Make that a kind of a nice bold line so that you can see it. Although in the drawing that would be a thin line, since those are two surfaces coming together, so that really would want to be a thin line. But I want to make sure it appears here in the video. The other thing I can start to do is give myself some guidelines that go up vertically. I do know that all of these windows on this side align with one another, and so I can kind of carry two guidelines up. This might go off of the camera here briefly, but don't worry about that. Just give myself a couple of guidelines there, because I know that the window from my office, the window below it, and the window above it are all along those two lines. All right? And so that's mainly what I'm going to focus on here, and then eventually we'll get up to the roof. But for now, what I want to do is figure out where this window is at the ground level, the window that's below my office. This is my office window here. This is the one below it. So what I'm going to do is just bring a couple of guidelines over here from that section drawing. Some nice light guidelines just straight across. And now I know where the height of the bottom of that window and the top of that window would be if it were on this corner. It's not, it's over here, but now we've got those heights there, and I can just use my triangle here at 30 degrees and carry those guidelines right over to there. And now I've got basically where that ground floor window is. I'm not going to worry too much right now about the details of that window, but I'm going to firm up those lines a little bit. And the other thing I'm going to do is show how that window has some depth. Now, in that case, I'm going back in this direction, right? I've been going in this direction and up. Now I need to go in that direction, so I come over here with my 60-degree angle, give myself a light guideline right there in that corner. That's starting to show how the side of that window and the bottom of that window come together. What I need now, though, is the depth of that. And so I can come here from the plan and draw that. That's right there, the inside of that window. So that shows me the wall thickness. That's where those things connect. I can come back here, give myself a light guideline. Now that shows the entire kind of depth of that wall, but really the window is a little bit inside of that. So I could do the same thing, you know, come up here with this little guideline and show exactly where that window frame is in there, where it meets the window sill and where it meets the window jamb. And then give myself a little bit of thickness in there. Do the same thing in terms of the depth. This is maybe getting a little bit more detailed than is going to be very easily viewable on the video. But you start to see how we're looking kind of down at that window and we see its depth. We see the glass back there, we see the window frame, and we see the window opening. Okay? So I continue that. I'm going to come up here to my window in my office and bring this line straight across as a guideline right there. I'm also going to show where there's this kind of cap on the stone. Bring that over here. And I can draw both of those lines. I can show where that cap sort of projects outward right there and right there. And then in the other direction, on the other face of this building, like so. And now I know where that cap is. Really what I'd want to do is show that it has some depth. Like so, and like so. And then where it meets my guidelines from this window, I could really kind of show that it goes back a little bit, but I don't want to get too fussy with it. And carry that up, carry that up. I don't have exactly where the height of that is, so I've got to come over here, pick up that dimension, bring it over here to the corner, and then once again carry it from the corner, that dimension, over here to this window, and that's where the top of the window is. And then I do the same thing that I just did, where I carry that back into there. Let's see, I bring up the thickness of the wall right there. And there is the window sill. I can do the same thing that I just did by showing the, window frame in there. I'm doing this pretty quickly just to kind of keep things moving along here. But that starts to show the depth of that window. Okay? And then there's one more window up above. Let me kind of adjust the camera here. I bring those dimensions over, to there and to there. And while I'm at it, I'm going to bring over the dimension from the underside of the roof right there. And we'll get to that in just a moment. But for now, I'm bringing this over so I can see where that third story window opening is. And it is there. I do the same thing. I give it some depth. And I would draw the window frame in there. Let me grab a piece of paper here. So if I take a piece of paper here and slip it under this piece of trace, we will start to see, hopefully, kind of adjust the camera here, how I have created, you know, the exterior corner here, that window, then we've got this sort of cap of stone. This is the stone base, and then it's brick up here. And then we've got the bottom floor window, my window in my office, and the window above, okay? And obviously I could get into a bit more information in terms of these windows, like showing that there is a mullion that drops across there and has some depth to it. Right, so I can start to add some more information to that. This one down below I think has an arched opening to it, so I might want to try and start to freehand that in a little bit, or use a circle template to try to show that. Anyway, once you've got the kind of basics of each of these openings, you could add more information to it. But now let's talk about the roof up here. So I brought this, make sure that you can see that. I brought this across. Maybe what I'll do is try and zoom in on that a little bit. Okay, hopefully that's going to be visible. So I brought that over, and what I'm showing here is where the corner on the exterior of the building meets the underside of the roof. Now, in terms of the plan, let me get rid of this piece of paper here. If I come back down here and show on the plan down here, remember I did this dashed line that shows the projection of the roof. So I need to carry that point all the way up and meet that roof and basically show how that works here. So let me kind of do that if I can. Let me actually zoom out here again. So what I'm going to do is carry this point, because this is where the dash line of the roof is in the plan. So I need to locate that point right there. And you notice it's not at the same place as the corner of the building. It's a little bit off there, even though that corner is 45 degrees from the corner of the building. But because we've rotated the plan, it's moved to the right just a little bit. So I'm just going to bring up a guideline here. All the way up to there. And then I'm going to zoom in again. Let me make sure that we're looking at the right thing here, right there. Okay. And what I want to do here is figure out the distance from that corner out to where that roof point is. Now, the way I'm going to do that is, again, we're looking back down here at the plan. I'm going to use my adjustable triangle here, and I'm going to find what that specific angle is, the angle from the corner of the bottom of the building, or in the plan, the corner of this building, and where the roof is overhead. So that little angle right there, I'm going to, I've got this loosened up, and I'm going to align those 2 points, and then while I'm really holding it in place, I'm going to screw that down. So now I've got that angle. So now we're back up here, and this is the dimension that I took where the underside of the roof and that exterior corner meet. And so I can use this to draw that same angle. Now what I've found is the lower point of that roof. Now what you can see is, again, this is the underside of that roof projection from the section drawing. And I've carried that dimension over here to the outside corner of the Paraline drawing. And I drew that angle that I just explained. And so now I can do much the same thing. I can kind of bring over this dimension, which is the thickness of the roof, or at least a guess at that, and do, again, the same thing with this angle. Carry that down, and now I've got the thickness right there. Give myself a couple of little tick marks right there and right there. That is the thickness of that roof. Now I can come right back with my triangle here. Draw that going up there, and that going up there. And then I can do this in this direction, like so, and like so. And you'll notice that the roof, because it's projecting out, is going to obscure the top of that window a little bit. But that's okay. The other thing that you would do is find the angle of that roof going up. Now, that's a little bit trickier. You need to have a bit more information than I actually have here. Get my camera back in place. Let me explain what I mean by that. Oops, it's not quite in place. Once again, this is the edge of the roof in the plan drawing underneath here. And we know that that goes back at a 45-degree angle. We've got that angle right there. 45 degrees. It's not literally 45 because we've turned the plan, but if we had the plan straight up, we'd see that that's a 45-degree line, but I have that angle here, and so that would carry back into the plan to wherever it is. And that's something that, you know, is a bit difficult to figure out because you can't climb up there on the roof. So what I've done is I've carried up that 45-degree angle to a guess where the roof ridge is up here and where it connects to that other part of the other corner of the roof over there. Bottom line is I'm figuring out where this point is in plan. And then from the elevation drawing or from the section drawing, if you know how high that roof ridge is, you can carry a guideline from that point in the plan all the way up to wherever that ends up being. Okay? And where that is, then you connect the dots at this corner of the roof up to that roof ridge point, wherever it is up there. I know that's not super clear, but you do have to kind of work your way through both from the plan drawing that we've got under there, as well as either the section drawing or an elevation. If you know where that roof is in elevation, you can start to figure out the heights there and bring those things together and connect those dots along whatever angle that is. So, that's, and I'll, just maybe take a guess at that here, just for illustration purposes. So that'll be like where the roof goes up, that's the roof ridge line. This is the roof edge. That's the bottom of that roof piece. And then we've got all of that. So let me slide this back under here again. And you can start to see the Paraline drawing developing. I'll zoom in on this a little bit and kind of show you the whole thing. So there's the roof up there, the windows on the left side coming down, all the way down to the ground, and the corner of the building there. So that's a very brief but hopefully helpful tutorial on how to use a plan and a section to generate a Paraline drawing. If you were trying to do this as an isometric 30-30, as I talked about in the lecture this morning, you would need to be taking individual measurements from the plan. You wouldn't necessarily be able to draw directly from the plan. That is the advantage of doing a plan oblique, as we talked about this morning. But you do want to think about which side you're favoring. You know, that's the side that you want to see better, and that would be the 30-degree side in a plan oblique. It's unlikely that you'll be able to get the entire building on one sheet of trace unless you did it at a very, very small scale, which I wouldn't recommend because then you wouldn't be able to just draw from the plan in the section. Okay, so focus on the near corner. It does talk about this on the assignment sheet. You're not going to be able to get the entire building on there, but focus on, if it's Art and Architecture South, the front of the building, and maybe the facade gets favored with the 30-degree treatment, right? Again, hopefully that helps. Hopefully it gets you started. If you do have questions, be happy to help. Good luck and enjoy getting back into drawing.